The Ravina Rocket comes out of nowhere at the Valley. Two former champions sweep the twin bill at Malta. We go into pits to talk to our 2018 champ at the Valley of Speed. Now that's a new definition of stacking them up. Race Pro Weekly, let her eat. Hello and welcome to another edition of Race Pro Weekly. I'm your host, Mike Warren. With Mr. Dirt Track USA being on a Saturday night on Labor Day weekend, this was effectively the final point race of the season for the Modifieds. Would Ronnie Johnson be able to overcome Brett Hearn? Let's head to the high banks now on our opening highlight brought to you by Land Home Maintenance. It was Halloween at the Speedway, meet and greet night as well, and I think I saw Bobby Chalmers dressed as Mike Warren somewhere. It could happen. Anyway, to the modified feature event now, it would be the 87X of Paul Gilardi going to bring the field down the front straightaway as they work their way up into turn number 1 and 2 for the first time with the 87X in front. Brett Hearn and Ronnie Johnson, the top two, looking to pick up the championship in 2018, fight their way through the corner. But as they work up, it would be Hearn getting the early advantage. He would sneak ahead of that 2RJ and work his way up through the field very quickly. Hearn in this feature event only having to finish in the top 4, just outside the top 5, as Keith Flack looks to make a move up on the outside of Chad Jezio for position. And they would get by into turn number 3 and 4 and already crack the top 5 early in the event. Eddie Marshall would start to bear down on the 87X Gilardi for that number 1 spot, as Kenny Tremont starts to reel him in, as well as a great 3-car battle for that number 1 position, as the Superior Seamless Gutters car number 87X machine continues to lead this one up on the outside lane. It would be Eddie Marshall getting by him down the back straightaway, however, as the 98 goes to the front. Kenny Tremont looking to follow into turn number 3 and 4 that time, but it would take him a couple of laps, but the Sand Lake Slingshot would prevail and get into the runner-up position. Ronnie Johnson still trying to do everything he can, working his way up to get the championship, but a right rear tire would sideline the Mickles Automotive car number 2RJ, and he would have to come from the rear of the field with his title hopes dashed. Off of the restart, though, Kenny Tremont takes a great shot at Marshall, but here's Keith Flack working his way up on the outside lane, continuing to power it past Tremont up off of turn number 4. He'd be your new second-place man. Tremont not going away, and neither is Brett Hearn in the position he needed to be to clinch the championship down the back straightaway. As Tremont giving everything to Flack, as that would allow Marshall to drive away for the time being. But as they move through this, Ronnie Johnson trying to get every spot he can, but we move to the final 2 laps as Keith Flack starting to run down the 98 machine. Final time into turn number 3 and 4 now for the 43. He has just enough room to look to make it stick off the corner. They drag race to the line, and Flack, by not much at all, picks up the win. Eddie Marshall would finish in second. Kenny Tremont would come home third. Brett Hearn, your 2018 champion, would come home fourth. And Colby Schroeder would round out the top 5. Double features for the Modifieds at Albany, Saratoga, but we start with Pro Stock action as Jay Corbin going for the race lead in the late stages to get by Chucky Dumbluski. He'd have to fend off a number of challengers in the last few laps in this one, but it would be Corbin grabbing his first career win at the Speedway. Definitely a happy man. First feature event would see the 667 on Matt Depew going to lead the field of the green up into turn number 1 and 2 for the first time as the cars scatter their way down into turn number 3 and 4. Kenny Tremont, Ronnie Johnson side-by-side for position up off the corner. Jack Lander trying to work his way down the backstretch. Mark Johnson trying to shave the deficit between him and Brett Hearn as well in the point standings. It would be the 667 there as Hearn would have trouble in turn number 2. Elmo Reckner also having trouble at the front of the field. He'd have to go pit side. That would put Jimmy Nagel up onto the outside of the 667 machine as they rolled up into turn number 1 and 2, but it wouldn't be long before the Sand Lake Slingshot was coming, working the inside lane to get by both Gleason and Nagel up off of turn number 2. He put himself into that number 2 spot and then go to work on Matt Depew, keeping it locked right down onto the bottom, pulling even with the Rocco's Pizzeria entry, and then off before he would get by him as Tremont would go to the front. This was a shortened 32-lap race in honor of Stan DeMann out at the Speedway, and it would be the 115 car out in front of this one as the 667's there as trouble on the 87 of Neil Stratton and the 2RJ of Ronnie Johnson. Off the restart, Jesse Mueller on a heavy track. You know what's coming in this one. He's filing up toward the front, and then Mark Johnson will pull the slider on the 10 of Jimmy Nagel. But Bobby Hackle will be the fastest car in the late stages of the event, pulling into second and running down Kenny Tremont in the final laps of this feature. However, that's when the 97 would have trouble blowing the motor on the last lap as Tremont picks up the $3,200 prize. Brian Gleason with his best career finish coming home second. Keith Flack would finish in third. Jesse Mueller fourth. And Matt Depew would finish in fifth. Feature number 2 coming up in just a little bit. It's now time for this week's John Ray and Sons fan poll question, which is, who will bring home the title Friday night at Albany, Saratoga? Will it be the Jersey Jet Brett Hearn or the White Knight Mark Johnson? To cast your answer, head to facebook.com/RaceProWeekly, and we'll see how you guys answered on next week's show. Let's take a look back at last week's question, which was, what is the bigger 2018 surprise at Lebanon Valley? Brett Hearn's struggle with bad luck, or RJ's strength in his first season back? Well, most of you are going with the resurgence of the 2RJ. When we come back, we head to the D-shaped Dirt Demon to see who took home big block action on Friday night. Then we'll stay in Central New York and do a little small block throttling out at Fulton.
You know, Mother Nature makes the best products, and Ghent Wood Products in Columbia County has figured out the secret. We use locally harvested trees, milled and kiln-dried right on site in Ghent. We stock rough-cut lumber, green or kiln-dried. If you prefer finished products, we offer that too, including shiplap, flooring, paneling, exterior siding, and tabletops. Come check out the reclaimed mushroom wood and barnwood siding. We combine the mill experience with a retail store, so you can go straight to the mill and handpick the wood you want.
Hi, I'm Eric Pope, General Manager of John Ray & Sons. We're proud to be offering Bryant heating and air conditioning systems. Just like us, Bryant has been delivering home comfort solutions for more than a century.
Call today for a free consultation and save up to $875 with Bryant bonus rebates.
I'm Michael Laporte, Service Manager. From sales to service, our goal is to keep you comfortable, whatever it takes. Ductless AC is a perfect solution for homes without ductwork, new additions, or anywhere you need cool relief.
Call or visit johnray.com today.
There's only one place in the capital region for you to get the full racing action. Stop down at the Bobco video booth at the track or call 518-399-0937. Bobco Racing Video, the next best thing to being there. Welcome back to RPW Brewerton Speedway action. Some 4 cylinders, first car going up and over, and a ton of fluid being lifted, and well, you can say it was lighter fluid in a way, and that's pretty cool, the amount of flames on the front stretch, but we digress. Tim Kerr going out to the number 1 spot down the back straightaway. Andrew Ferguson also trying to work getting by Robbie Bellinger for position down into turn number 3 and 4, but Bellinger trying to battle back up on the top side with Ferguson on the bottom and Tim Sears Jr. and Pat Ward right there as well. Tom Sears Jr. and Chad Phelps going at it. Jimmy Phelps tries to get around the outside as something breaks on the X machine. Max McLaughlin nowhere to go, gets into the front end, but trouble on that X machine. Off of the restart, Field would continue to work its way through the corner as Bellinger holding off a hard-charging Larry White up on the outside lane. A great 3-car battle with Billy Decker. He's very fast in this event as well. Meanwhile, Chris Heil going to work his way up on the outside lane, trying to take the spot away from Kerr for the race lead, as Pat Ward would join the fray, trying to get second from Heil in deep lap traffic toward the closing stages of this feature event, but it wouldn't be enough as Tim Kerr picked up the win out of the D-shaped Dirt Demon. Second would be Chris Heil. Pat Ward would come home third. Tim Sears Jr. fourth, and Larry White would round out the top 5. Other winners on the night, Sportsman number 1 going to go to Alan Fink. Sportsman 2 to Kevin Root. Mod Lights going to Zach Babcock. And the 4 cylinders going to Evan Wright. To the Ulster County Bull Ring we go as Mark Pullen going to take the early race lead down the front stretch. Tommy Johnson getting a little out of shape coming down the outside lane. Anthony Perego trying to work his way up into the top 5. As the field works its way up through the corner, Jimmy Wells trying to get by Perego. They touch a little bit off the corner as Danny Creighton comes by, and then Creighton goes around. Tyler gets punched from the back, and a number of cars get stacked up in between turn number 1 and 2. Off the restart, Pullen would try to make a move. Joe Judge would make the move on the outside to take the number 1 spot away as they'd fight through the corner. Here's Andy Bacchetti trying to make a bid as Mark Pullen gets a little out of shape coming down the front stretch. That bunches him up one more time as they roll down the front straightaway. Still stay green, and then, well, it didn't end the way you would expect it, and a little bit of deja vu. Perego already up into that number 2 position, trying to find his way past the 3J machine up off of turn number 4. Field's continuing to work its way up, though, as Rich Ricky Jr. trying to fight his way up through. Here's Perego bouncing on the inside lane. He's got Andy Bacchetti right next to him up off the corner, but gets off with a head of steam down the back straightaway, trying to work his way in front of Joe Judge. He crossed right over him. Here's Judge on the crossover move. Can't make it stick. Bacchetti trying to sneak by for second as they start to be mired in heavy lap traffic up off of turn number 4. Judge would look to get back by Becchetti as he would, as now this would help the 44 Machina Perego down the backstretch, as Becchetti still trying to throw everything but the kitchen sink at him up off of turn number 3 and 4. Close quarter battle, and once again as Becchetti gets ahead for second down up off of turn number 2. He'll look to set his sights on Anthony Perego as the caution comes out for the 97T of Danny Tyler. Off the restart, Danny Creedon works his way back up. Then he got an old-fashioned Ricky battle just on the outside of the top 5 as Perego continues to lead. Ferrier gets up into the outside retaining wall, and then trouble on Becchetti's machine as well as he's up against the fence in turn number 3 with some left front damage. Off the restart, Perego right there again as Joe Judge stays right in his tracks. Creedon looking for the number 2 spot up off by turn number 2, but it would be Anthony Perego picking up a big win down at Accord. Joe Judge would come home with a great second place finish. Danny Creedon would come home third. Mike Rickey fourth, and Rich Rickey Jr. would round out the top 5. Other winners on the night in the Sportsman, it would be Kyle Roner. Jeremy Quick grabbing the win in the wingless sprints. Michael Corbin with the win in the Rookie Sportsman. 4 cylinders going to Richard Smith. Steve Williams in the Pure Stocks. And 4-cylinder Enduro, well, that's also going to Richard Smith. We start with some late model action as Tim Sears Jr. rocking it down on the inside lane. He gets passed on the backstretch, but going to use the inside lane back to his advantage up off by turn number 4, and he would hold on to pick up the victory as Timmer going to victory lane in late model action. So the modifieds now, as it would be the 2 of Rob Bellinger going to lead the field of the green as they work their way up into turn number 1 and 2 for the first time. Cars trying to scatter to get position down the backstretch. And look at this Top Gun formation down the back straightaway. Lightning Larry White going to look to take the advantage on the outside. Billy Whitaker in there as well as they fight for position up off the corner. Bobby Harrington going to be the one to take advantage this time off the inside lane as he's going to get by White. Now set his sights on race leader Bellinger about 10 laps into this feature event. On lap number 13, Harrington would work his way on the outside lane into turn number 3 and 4. He would take that number 1 spot away as Harrington going to the front with Larry White lurking right behind them both. It wouldn't be long before Lightning Larry would get his way into contention here in this one, working his way down the outside lane, and then he shift back to the inside, right on the bottom, looking to clear Bellinger down the front straightaway. He get by him, and then he set his sights on the 25 of Harrington, now on the back straightaway. It wouldn't be long before Kid Lightning going to roll his way up to the top side to take the number 1 spot away as he powers it up off by turn number 2 for good, and the 99L going to go to victory lane on Saturday night at Fulton. Harrington would finish in second, Tim Sears Jr. third, Ronnie Davis the third coming home fourth, and Pat Ward would round out the top 5. Other winners on the night, Sportsman number 1 would go to Scott Prentice. Unofficially, Sportsman number 2 going to Nate Higgins. Tim Sears Jr., as you saw, picking up the win in the late models, and the novice Sportsman to Jake Davis. Coming up on RPW, we head to Can-Am to see if anyone can stop Billy Dunn. Then we'll see who picked up the win in Albany-Saratoga's second feature of the evening. You won't want to miss it. Keep it right here.
Spring is finally here and the temperatures are rising and the deals are hotter than ever. Hi, I'm Charlie Morris of Morris Ford in Burnt Hills. You have to come in for the hottest cars, trucks, and SUVs on the market today here at Morris Ford, all with leading technology and advanced safety. With thousands off and low payments, there's never been a better time to buy a new Ford. So come in to Morris Ford and let us show you why we've been selling cars in the Capital District for over 46 years.
Our yours will always be number 1.
Performance, quality, service. That's DMC Racing Products. Hundreds of name brand parts, competitive prices. That's DMC. DMC Racing Products. Race to win. Reputable. Reliable. Results. That's what you get when you call Rick and the professionals at RCT Roofing. Quality service at fair prices. RCT gets the job done. Just like Nick Stone and the RCT Pro Stock. RCT Roofing, we've got you covered. Welcome back to RPW for some small block action out at Can-Am, as it would be Brady Gill taking the early lead in that number 51 machine. Jordan McCready quickly going to go to the number 2 spot, going to get by Nick Webb for position down into turn number 3 and 4 as the 9 looking to go to victory lane. McCready would still be on the move, trying to reel in that number 51 machine as Ryan Arbuthnot would move into spot number 3 with Billy Dunn to give him some company, moving into spot number 4. Arbuthnot would then move into second, but here's McCready on the low side looking to make something stick, and that opens the door for Billy Dunn, who works his way up into third early in this feature. Dunn would work the inside lane to look to get by Arbuthnot up off of turn number 4 and set his sights on the 51 as Dunn would continue to push his way down the back straightaway, and he would be your new second place man very early in this event. It wouldn't be long before Dunn would work the inside, but Gill this time going to shut the door on him into turn number 1 and 2, holding on to the spot for the time being. That allows Arbuthnot to come back on the outside into turn number 3 and 4 and try to sweep around. He couldn't do it, but Gill still holding on to this advantage with 10 laps completed up on the board. Billy Dunn would then see his move as he would work his way to the inside lane and take the lead away from the 51 machine at about the halfway point. Arbuthnot going to look to try to follow on the outside to get by Gill for position with McCready starting to lurk as well. Billy Dunn would just drive away from the rest of the field as Arbuthnot would have a long way to go to try to catch that number 9 machine. But meanwhile, Jordan McCready going to get back by the R70 down the backstretch as they would race side by side for position. Gill trying to hold on, staying into the top 5 as he looks to hold off the rest of the field for position as Billy Dunn comes down the front straightaway with another win at Can-Am. Jordan McCready would settle for second. Ryan Arbuthnot would finish in third. Tyler Meeks fourth, and Nick Webb would round out the top 5. Other winners on the night, Sportsman will go to Anthony Stockman. Sid Harmer Jr. picking up the win in the Pro Stocks. Thunder Stocks would go to Phil DeSorma III, and Novice Sportsman to Kevin Warren. To the legendary House of Power. CRSA Sprint Car is going to start this one off as Jesse Prucknick going to take the lead up into turn number 1 and 2. Jeff Trombley going to try to run him down in the closing stages of this feature event as they work him down into turn number 3 and 4, but it would be Prucknick picking up the win as he drags down the front straightaway in the CRSA Sprint Car feature event. To the modifieds now. It would be John Ferrier taking the early race lead. Jimmy Horton going to make a great move on the inside lane, but the car on the move early was Anthony Perego getting by Chris Schultz, working his way just outside the top 5 in the early going, sneaking by Richie Urich down the back straightaway as well, as he would continue to move up in the early going, looking for the number 2 spot this time up, trying to get by the Jeffer up off by turn number 2. He would make that stick as Perego on the move, now on the outside lane, looking to get by Ferrier as he catches him quick. Going to try to roll up onto the outside down the back straightaway, and the Superior Remodeling car number 44 going to the front at about the midway point of this event. Cars still working their way down the back straightaway, trying to pick up positions into turn number 1 and 2. You see Matt Janiak going to sneak by Jimmy Horton that time off the corner. Johnny Lito right there trying to follow as the caution will come out again with just 4 laps left to go. Off the restart, here's Ferrier trying to make a move as they jockey for position behind him. Ferrier didn't get the shot he wanted that time off the corner. Craig Mitchell going to slide by. Here's Jimmy Horton up on the back bumper of Johnny Lito as well as they continue to fight for position in the late stages. Jimmy Spellman going to sneak by, trying to get by Urich as well up off of turn number 2. But that Perego kid, well, yeah, he's way out in front of the field, but the caution coming out as he's trying to take the checkers for the 44 Change Blanca. That would re-rack the field one more time as here's John Ferrier working it down to the inside lane, trying to get by the number 44 machine on the final lap. Perego out in front. Here's Ferrier trying to hold on to that number 2 spot, but Perego picks up the victory out at OCFS. Tommy Meyer would sneak in for second. John Ferrier coming home third. Jeff Hetzler fourth, and Matt Janiak would finish in 5th. Other winners on the night, Jesse Prucknick picking up the win as you saw in the CRSA Sprint. Greg Slate with the win in the Sportsman. Rookie Sportsman to Jimmy Leiby. And Dan Maher picking up the win in the Street Stocks. Feature number 2 for the Upstate GMC Modifieds would see the 97 of Chris Vernold and the 17 of Elmo Reckner lead the field to the green as they'd work them up into turn number 1 and 2 with Elmo going out front as trouble as the 87 of Neil Stratton goes around up into the corner. Off the restart, it would be the 17 of Reckner out in the number 1 spot as cars look to work their way up on the outside lane. Kenny Tremont looking to pull off the double as he would get by Matt DiLorenzo and Keith Flack up off of turn number 2 and continue to work his way toward the front. Vernold would hold on to spot number 3 for the time being as Rich Rocca going to try to dive underneath him as Tremont now on the move, going to go around the outside of Mark Johnson up off by turn number 3 and 4 as Johnson continue to work the bottom down the front stretch. Then Tremont, who was having a heck of a night in that 115 car, going to dive underneath the 94 of Ray Hoare, trying to keep it right through the middle. Elmo will continue to lead this one. Bodie Bellinger moving into that number 2 spot as Brett Hearn continued to work his way up through the field. Tremont will get by the 20 machine, set his sights on Rich Rocca as Bodie Bellinger goes for the race lead up into turn number 3 and 4 that time. Then here's Tremont going to try to dive underneath Bellinger for the number 1 spot, but Bellinger gets a great run down the back straightaway. The cars would slide off at turn number 4 with Mark Johnson rolling his way on the inside, following Kenny Tremont up on the bottom. Then Bodie Bellinger gets pinched off the racetrack by Elmo Reckner, and here's the 115 to Tremont, going to try to make the move on the outside. He'll pull his patented slingshot move down the back straightaway the next time around, though, and Kenny Tremont would look to be well on his way to picking up his second win of the evening. Not so fast, my friend. The 3J of Mark Johnson would pull into the number 2 spot, looking to get by Reckner for position, and he would keep it locked on the bottom as the 115 would get loose in the closing stages. Elmo Reckner would work his way up off of turn number 2 as now Johnson starting to reel in the 115 machine as Tremont looking to keep it on the top side, and that's where Johnson would thrive, keeping it down on the bottom as the Johnson Racing car number 3J works it off at turn number 2. He'd be your new race leader with just 5 laps to go. The White Knight going to bring it through turn number 3 and 4 for his second win of 2018. Tremont would come home second, Keith Black third, Jesse Mueller fourth, and Bodie Bellinger would round out the top 5. Other winners on the night, only the second time in history. Both Johnsons have won on the same night as Chris grabs the win in the Sportsman. Limited Sportsman will go to Stephen Neer, Jay Corbin, as you saw earlier in the Pro Stocks, and Jimmy Duncan, win number 3 in the Street Stocks. When we come back one final time this week here on RPW, we'll head to Devil's Bowl for some twin Sportsman magic, and we'll go in the pits with the Jersey Jet on his 2018 Lebanon Valley title. If you are a tracker series that would like to be highlighted on Race Pro Weekly, email us at show@raceproweekly.com. Welcome back to Race Pro Weekly. Twin 20s for the Sportsman up at Devil's Bowl as Mike Palmer going to take the early lead in the first one with Ronnie Proctor up on the outside lane looking to make something stick up off of turn number 3 and 4. Field going to work its way up off of turn number 2. Alan Hammond trying to shut down Jeff Washburn for position down the back straightaway. Marty Kelly and John St. Germain in third fighting as well, but the car on the move was the 54, the Orwell Express of Tim LeDuc. LeDuc going to crack the top 5. Kenny Tremont also trying to work his way up through turn number 3 and 4, trying to move closer to the front of the field as they work their way down the front straightaway. As Palmer continues to lead this one with Proctor right there, but the Orwell Express was coming a little bit quicker. Down on the inside lane up off of turn number 4, then off the backstretch, would try to get by Proctor down into the corner, and he would take the number 2 spot away. Wouldn't be long before LeDuc would get right to the back bumper of the 85 machine up off of turn number 2 as they roll into turn number 3 and 4. They come down drag racing to the flag stand, and at the line, it would be the 54 of LeDuc. To feature number 2 now, Jake Scarborough going to jut out in front of the 25 of Billy Lucier down the back straightaway as they fight for the second twin 20. Cars getting together up off of turn number 2 as you see Kenny Tremont come together with the 51 of Justin Combs. He slides up the racetrack. Marty Kelly involved as well down off the corner. Lucier would get back by Scarborough for position, working down into turn number 1 and 2, but Scarborough looking to battle back on the bottom side of the racetrack. But Lucier doing a great job up off of turn number 4 to hold on to the race lead at the midway point. Wouldn't be long before Scarborough would work his way back on the inside lane and slide past that number 25 machine, taking the position away, but Josh Sun to be on the move as well as he would move into the number 3 spot, trying to work his way onto the bottom of the 25 of Lucier. He slide by up off of turn number 3 and 4 with just a few laps to go and set his sights on the number 24 machine. Some would get right on the back bumper down the back straightaway, but the Denacker Chevrolet, car number 24 machine, going to bring him off at turn number 4 for his first career Sportsman win out at the Bowl. Josh Sun would settle for second. Billy Lucier would come home third. Adam Pearson fourth, and Joey Scarborough rounding out the top 5. Back to feature number 1, Timmy LeDuc picking up the win. Mike Palmer would finish in second. Ron Proctor third. Alan Hammond fourth, and Jeff Washburn would finish in 5th. Other winners on the night: Limited Sportsman number 1 going to Travis Billington. Limited Sportsman number 2 going to Joey Roberts. The 2 Super Stock features would go to Chris Murray and Garrett Gibbon. Mike Preston would grab the win in Mini Stock feature number 1. Second one going to Johnny Bruno. And the 2 mini sprint features would go to Dakota Green and Colby Beinhardt. King of Dirt Pro Stock feature event from the high banks of the Valley of Speed as racing Jason Casey in the 324. Got a drag race with his father down the front stretch, and he would win the battle as the 324 machine goes to the front. Big battle up in the number 2 spot now as Jay Casey falls back, but it is the 51 of Jason Meltz taking that position away down into turn number 3 and 4 in the early going. Chucky Dombluski and Richie Crane both chasing the tour, trying to get a couple of positions as now Jay Casey tries to work underneath the 7 of Robbie Edmond, who was very fast, trying to get by that 08 machine of Chuck Towsley, as this would be a great battle throughout the majority of this feature event. Yetman would try to work the high side up into turn number 1 and 2 and then go to the inside at turn number 3 and 4 as they would touch a little bit coming down the front stretch, opening the door for Papa J to pull up right on the back bumper of Towsley. Down the back straightaway, they would continue to ride as now the top spots 2 through 5 would be right together as now here's the 7 machine trying to duck underneath the 08 one more time with Towsley trying to take a look underneath the 51 down the back straightaway. They would continue to fight for position as now the 08 of Towsley would make a move trying to get by Meltz coming down the front stretch. Closing stages of this feature event would come, but spots 2 through 4 still working right together as that time Towsley gets into the quarter panel of Yetman coming down the front stretch. That allows Yetman to move in the third. He would try to get by the 51 and Meltz down off of turn number 2 as well, but he would have to backslide to third, take another shot at him in the final 4 laps of this feature as a Lazaro's Auto Body car number 7 machine just not being able to get by the Meltz machine. But way out front of this one, the 324 of racing Jason Casey picking up an emotional win in the King of Dirt Pro Stock feature. Jason Meltz would finish in second. Coming on third would be Rob Yetman, Chuck Towsley finishing in fourth, and Jay Casey would round out the top 5. Other winners on the night, small blocks going to Kenny Tremont, Pure Stock 1 to Gary O'Brien, Pure Stock 2 to Jeff Meltz Jr., Pure Stock 3 to John Devine, to the Boomers Classic, going to go to Jeff Meltz Jr. I see the bad moon rising. Hey, got to get a little CCR in before we get going. Sportsman feature out at Glen Ridge as Jim Introne would lead the field up into turn number 1 and 2 for the first time. Brian Calabrese would be on the move on the outside lane, looking to try to get by Bill Augustport position as he'd work his way up through turn number 1 and 2, trying to take the spot. Cars would scatter down into turn number 3 and 4 as Dave Constantino and Chad Edwards would split the number 22 machine. Meanwhile, battle for the lead starting to shape up as the 21C takes a hip check at the 9X machine, then down the back straightaway takes another one, drives right over his left front, making contact as they come off by turn number 4. They make contact again, sending Introne up into the outside wall. Andrew Buff nowhere to go as Calabrese comes back down. He goes around. Calabrese getting into the front tire. That also collects Colin Dubois. As a lot of carnage here at the Ridge. Jim Introne's car up on the outside. Calabrese getting black flag from the event as well. And Buffer a tough break for the 92. Off the restart, Bill August would look to hold on to the race lead, but it was Tim Hartman Jr. working his way up off of turn number 3 and 4. Dave Constantino looking to check down on the bottom, trying to take the number 2 spot away. He would get by the number 50 machine, but it's all behind Hartman as TH2 picks up the win at the Ridge. Second will be Constantino. Bill August coming on third. Joe Orlando fourth, and Colin Dubois round out the top 5. Other winners on the night, Limited Sportsman will go to Derek McGrew Jr. Pro Stocks to Ivan Jocelyn. Jesse Murphy in the Street Stocks. 4-cylinder single cam to Keith Tessero Jr. Josh Samroff in the 4-cylinder dual cam. Jim Mudge in the Senior Slingshot. And Casey Halfcut in the Junior Slingshots. This past Saturday night, the Jersey Jet Brett Hearn picked up his 7th straight championship at Lebanon Valley and his 13th overall. Fast Eddie went in the pits down on the high banks to talk about his accomplishments.
Brett, 7th consecutive track championship here at Lebanon Valley. How did you get the championship?
Well, just like all the others. I mean, just the consistency, a lot of heads-up driving, starting, 14th or 15th most races, and, staying out of trouble. We had a couple mechanical problems, which actually closed the race up quite a bit. Put us, on standby the last 2 weeks here, but we came back with a win in the 4th in our last 2 races, and lo and behold, we got it done. But I want to congratulate Ronnie Johnson for having a really nice, consistent year. I think tonight was probably the first time he had a problem in a feature, so that's not bad for a guy who doesn't run here normally.
Over 50 track championships now. Do you start looking at that stuff? Does that stuff start adding up in your mind?
Well, it's amazing amount of races and amount of seasons, and to think that I have 13 here now at the Valley, and it's just, I don't know, time flies.
It's now time for this week's NISCA Performer of the Week, and with his wins at both the Accord Speedway and at the legendary House of Power, it goes to Anthony Perego. Perego is eligible for the Performer of the Year award given out at the end of the season. That's all for this week's show. For the latest news, results, and photos, check out Race Pro Weekly online at www.raceproweekly.com, and be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. So for myself, Bobby Chalmers, Fast Eddie, Scott Morlock, Amber Chalmers, and everyone that helps put Race Pro Weekly together, thank you for watching this week's episode, and we'll see you next time.